Hello, this is the Student Theologian with another upload for you guys. I've recently been posting these bi-weekly episodes called My Thoughts on Podcast. And this is where I give you my thoughts on these issues of today, current events, geopolitics, and some theology that I've been learning from seminary and from my reading of the Bible. So we're going to cover some topics today, including my life updates, the debate between retreatism and Christian nationalism, the Trump, Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Zelensky, as well talking about Gavin Newsom, the Cambodia and Thailand skirmishes that have been going on, and then my plan to fix the housing crisis. And we're going to get into all this during this podcast, but first, I just want to give a shout out to my new subscribers this week. I've had 3 new subscribers, so shout out to Impious Majesty, LOL Judger, and Larry Banda for being my new subscribers. I just want to give you my life updates right now. I have a girlfriend, but it's not officially yet. We're still waiting for a couple of things to fall into place. But that's been going really well. I'm blessed that God's given me such a godly woman in my life. So seminary has started back up. As you know, from my previous episodes, I've been taking an online class called The Person of Christ by Stephen Wellum. It's been very informative and very difficult. I passed it with like a 75, and that was me studying really hard. And so that was good, though. I learned a lot. And I'm glad to have that class out of the way so I can focus on the new semester. I'm taking New Testament 2, Old Testament 2, and Church History 2. So I'm going to be learning a lot and doing a lot of reading this semester, just like I've been doing the last couple of semesters. So church has been going great. I've been meeting a lot of new people. As I talked about last time, I'm a baptized member now, so I'm able to enjoy communion and official fellowship with the local body of believers that I have with Huntsinger Lane. I think that's all the life updates I have. Okay, so my notes are in the wrong order. I'm going to actually be talking about theology during the last part of this upload. I know I usually end with geopolitics, but this is the issue between retreatism and Christian nationalism is so big and prevalent that I'm going to save that for the end of this video. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel to get more of my views and thoughts on geopolitics, on history, on elections. I do a lot of election prediction videos and theology. So the first topic I want to talk about is what's been going on with the Ukraine and Russian conflict. As you know, Vladimir Putin has recently visited Alaska and met with Donald Trump, and shortly after, Vladimir Zelensky has met with Trump, and Zelensky actually had a lot better and more healthier discussion, it seems. From the photos we've seen, from the videos we've seen, they seem to be getting Trump and Zelensky seem to be getting along better. I think this is really good. I think this paints the ever-increasing picture of Donald Trump being this peace-loving president that wants to end wars. I think that legitimately Trump hates death. He hates the idea of killing people in wars, especially in needless wars. And you can see this in a lot of his statements when he's interviewed by the media about this conflict. Trump always goes back to, I want to stop the killing. I want to stop the killing. He says this over and over again. I think he's legitimate in that. I think that Trump's foreign policy is going to age a lot better than most Democrats and Republican presidents that have went before him. And I hope that J.D. Vance picks up on this peace-first approach whenever he presumably becomes president. But I do think that Russia and Ukraine are on the brink of signing peace. I think this war's been so costly and so worrisome for Vladimir Putin and Russia that they're not going to try something like this. I see this conflict the same way I've seen the conflict between Finland and the Soviet Union before World War II. People paint this picture of the Russian invasion of Ukraine being like World War II, but that's not totally true. Nazi Germany steamrolled through Europe before they were finally stopped. Vladimir Putin's Russia did not steamroll Ukraine at all. It's actually, they had to work very hard for the few minor areas that they were able to conquer. And this is very similar to what happened in the Soviet Union when they invaded Finland in the 1930s. I think 1930s or 20s. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Soviet Union back then did not gain very much territory from that conflict. In fact, that conflict ended up being way more costly, way more tough than the Soviet Union had anticipated, and they ended up just signing an armistice with Finland, taking that small little territory that they got, and the Finnish people considered that a victory because they held their own against the Soviet Union against this larger, superior force. Ukraine has done this because of all the funding that European and that America has given them. But I'm going to be hopeful that this prevents Vladimir Putin from ever encroaching upon another European country again, which I think it will, because he's not going to wanting other conflict like this. And I hope that Zelensky is voted out of office as well, because I don't think he's been a very good leader when it comes to preserving freedom for his people. Speaking of bad leaders for their people, I think we've seen Gavin Newsom rise in popularity with his all the memes, all the trash talking he's doing about Donald Trump. I think he's soaring up political boards as the presumptuous Democratic candidate for 2028. I think he's surpassed people like Buttigieg, AOC, Kamala Harris even. So I think in my political tier list for Democrats in 2028, I think I still had Gavin Newsom in the B tier, but I think I should have moved him up above the others, because I think he stands more of a chance now. Unfortunately for Gavin Newsom, the single most popular issue, the most important issue for American voters, continues to be immigration. And this is the point that Gavin Newsom is weakest on. If you see the way he's handled the immigration in California, it's been awful. You see these videos that happened in the LA riots this year. People hosting up immigrants from like the Middle East, from Mexico, holding up flags of foreign countries, burning the city down. And that's not the type of image that you want for a presidential candidate in 2028. So I think that whoever the Democrats nominate is still going to lose pretty handily, because their immigration stance is so against the American populace. It's so against what the American people want. I think that J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, either one of them, have a great chance of winning a landslide in 2028. So Gavin Newsom can do all this talking and trash talking, and create all these great memes. He's trying to be the Democratic Donald Trump. And I don't think that's going to work. I think this is going to be something that the voters see right through. But anyways, now we need to get to the next issue. Cambodia versus Thailand. If you haven't heard about this on the news, I just think this is interesting to note. Because we're going to have a discussion about Buddhism now a little bit. So Cambodia and Thailand have, and so ever since the Indochina, this area of Indochina between Cambodia and Thailand, they have a territorial dispute. And it all originates back to the colonial age, where the French used to own that area of land that was one that makes up Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. And then it gained their independence through the Vietnam War, yada yada yada. They draw these borders. The French agreed upon these borders between Cambodia and Thailand, and they were supposed to share this Buddhist temple, but it's become disputed. Both claim that this Buddhist temple belongs to them, that it should be in their territory, and so you have literally this war going out where dozens of people are killed to get this Buddhist temple. And it's kind of crazy to think that the Buddhists who are supposed to promote peace and humanity are literally killing themselves over this temple that's supposed to represent, again, peace and tranquility. And I think it speaks to the volatility of human nature. It speaks to the depravity of human nature, that we are, even if we invent religions that promote peace, we're still sinners at heart, and we still resort to things like war. You see this in Ukraine and Russia. You see this throughout the world wars. Humans are naturally sinners. We are inherently evil, and this is why war has been a standard of humankind ever since our existence. Ever since Adam and Eve fell, Cain killed Abel. And then afterwards, you always have wars. Wars. And this is what humanity has been. And I think the Cambodia and Thailand conflict is a symptom of the human depravity. I think that we see that clearly, that the only religion that can truly bring peace between men is Christianity, is the gospel. Buddhism cannot do that. Only Christ can. And so now I'm going to shift gears to the housing crisis in America. I really recently have seen some polls in America that the affordability rate for owning homes in America is at its lowest rate, which means it's now harder to buy a home in America now than it has been ever before. The number of people who are married and own a home under 30 has dropped dramatically. It used to be like 50% in like the 1960s or 70s, and then it dropped all the way to now. It's less than 20%. 20% of people who are 30 years old or younger, who fall into this millennial or Zoomer age bracket, they don't own homes. They rent, and they're single. It's a travesty. We should be pushing policies that encourage young people to buy and invest in homes. So I want to introduce my plan to fix the housing crisis. I go into more detail with this, I think, in the last upload or the upload before that. But I did not introduce my plan to actually fix it. I kind of complained about it without offering a solution. So I want to offer my plan to fix the housing crisis, and you can let me know below if you think that my plan is faulty or if I need to improve on it. But I would first ban corporations from buying homes. So corporations like BlackRock specifically would not be able to buy homes. I think we need to turn homes from investment properties to residential properties, or we need to incentivize that. And then you need to incentivize home ownership by young people by giving them home-free loans to couples who have at least 2 children. Let's see, home-free loans. I meant interest-free loans. So they wouldn't pay interest on that. So that would be an easy way to get a lot of these homes bought up by young people, hopefully young married people. I would abolish property tax, so the homes you buy you get to keep. I'd abolish the capital gains tax, so corporations are encouraged to sell homes to these young people. I think that pretty much covers it. Once again, I'll go over it once again. Ban corporations from buying homes. Eliminate property and capital gain taxes, and incentivize people to buy homes by offering interest-free loans to people who have 2 or more kids. I think that every tax-paying American citizen who's not on welfare should be able to buy a home. So now I want to get to the main topic, or probably the biggest topic, something that's been weighing heavy on my mind for the longest time now. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I want to define these 2 points. Retreatism, I don't think the mainstream evangelicals call it retreatism. I'm not quite sure what they call it, but we're just going to use the root word retreatism. So this is the anti-type of Christian nationalism. The retreatists believe that since Christ's kingdom is not of this earth, that we can never build a Christian nation here on earth. And essentially we should never try. And the Christian nationalists on the opposite end of the spectrum, they believe that we should be trying to build a Christian nation. I think that taken to 2 extremes, I think both sides are pretty wrong. The hardcore Christian nationalists, I don't think are right because they want to do forced conversions, and forced conversions don't work because we believe, especially in the Reformed faith, that the only way someone becomes saved is through the grace of God. He opens their hearts towards the truth of the gospel. I don't think that all Christian nationalists support forced conversions per se, but they definitely want to ban other religions, from my understanding. The more hardcore Christian nationalists want to ban the other religions. I don't think that I would ban every single religion. I had a great discussion with my roommate yesterday about this, but I would ban Islam. I would deport the Muslims because I think it's such an evil and wicked religion that you kind of have to treat it as an invasion, which it actually is. YouTube, please don't demonetize me. Other religions would be able to practice their religion. But from my perspective, I would still want to live in a nation that prefers Christianity over the others. So that's the Christian nationalist stance. I would define myself as a soft Christian nationalist, or a mild one, not one that's completely off the rails. I agree with Douglas Wilson on a lot, but I do think he goes a little too far, if that makes sense. And as in every ideology, every single form of theology that you can find, there's usually a middle ground, and sometimes the middle ground is where the truth lies, and sometimes on the opposite of the spectrums is where the truth lies. But in this case of Christian nationalism versus retreatism, I think that the truth is in the middle. Now, retreatists on the other side of the aisle, they do not want to build a Christian nation. They think the government should be completely secular. They're okay with electing non-Christian politicians as long as they respect the right to freedom of worship. The problem with retreatism is in the name, retreat. You can't just retreat from your problems, from the society. And if you follow the logic to retreatism, to its very core, it kind of paves the way towards, how do I put this? It kind of paves the way towards absenteeism. Because if you can't build a Christian nation, why would you try to build Christian communities? Why would you try to build Christian families? Why would you evangelize? It kind of doesn't give you an explanation of why you need to do all the good things that the Bible tells you. If you evangelize, if you build Christian families, which the Bible very clearly tells us to do, you're going to be living in a Christian nation. So Douglas Wilson makes a good point. I think it was Douglas Wilson. It might be someone else. But it's said that every single Christian is a Christian nationalist at some point, because we all vote. We all vote for Christian leaders, and even the retreatist. Predominantly, they are pro-life, so they vote for pro-life leaders who oppose things like gay marriage, the LGBT agenda. So at least at some point, they do operate on a Christian nationalist level, they just don't admit it. Now, the Retreatists use a quote by Jesus to justify their views. They say that Jesus says that my kingdom is not of this world, which is true. We're never going to completely replicate heaven on earth, and I don't think the most hardcore Christian nationalists would envision that or predict that they could do something like that. I think that the Retreatists have this false idea of what Christian nationalists actually represent and want to do. So Jesus did say his kingdom is not of this earth, but he also said that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And Jesus tells us to go make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. So if you evangelize, you turn hearts to the gospel, you become gradually a Christian nation, because a nation is comprised of people. And the more people you evangelize, you build Christian communities, Christian churches, and you're inevitably going to be a Christian nation. And the reason why this is such a hot topic today is that Hillsdale leadership went on I think it was a podcast or an interview or something, and they said that we cannot build a Christian nation. We cannot truly have a Christian nation. And I think that was wrong. I would steer clear of saying that Hillsdale is a bad university, or that one that should be shunned or shamed. I think we should be trying to educate them. I think we should be trying to have this discussion with them, because the very existence of Hillsdale College stands against their statement of we can never have a Christian nation. What do I mean by that? If you look at the website, the description of Hillsdale, they're described as a Christian university. And again, the Retreatists, they don't see the truth of the matter. The fact that if you have Christian universities, Christian communities, you can have a Christian nation. Now, I'm not making the hardcore Christian nationalist argument to ban all religions, of course, because I think that, again, the only way to truly have regeneration is through the grace of God. We cannot force people to believe in God. I definitely think that the Christian religion should be favored in America. We were founded as a Christian nation. George Washington makes this clear. Other founding fathers make this clear. You should be able to have the Ten Commandments in schools. You should allow people to pray in schools. We should keep "In God We Trust" in the back of our dollar bills. And we should try to prefer and favor the Christian religion above all others, because it is the very foundations upon which Western civilization is built. So again, I would describe myself as a soft and mild Christian nationalist. They try to paint these two dichotomies, but you really don't have to belong to either one of them. I think that when it all comes down to it, I think the Retreatists are in the wrong here. But again, we're not going to cancel Hillsdale because of this. I think that would be stupid. I think this is a theological argument that we can, as Christians, can disagree on and still be brothers and sisters in Christ. But tell me what you think below. Until next time, this has been the Student Theologian.